very much, Linda, for the warm welcome. Acquiring high-value customers in a profitable way is the goal of advertisers in these days. How to do this with first-party data and AI is the question of this talk today. We believe that 2024 marks an inflection point for marketers. The work we all do will be fundamentally transformed by two major changes. The first one is the rapid acceleration of AI, and the second one is the departure of third-party cookies. 2024 marks as well an inflection point for me personally. After 18 years of living together, my boyfriend and I will get married this year. Thank you for the applause. I hope that our care for each other and for our son will not change. However, we face new opportunities. We will celebrate a big party with family and friends. And I believe that's a similar situation for marketers at this inflection point. There are new opportunities which are arising. Long-held aspirations of marketers are now within reach. To keep up with the speed of consumers, to show them relevant ads while protecting privacy, and using marketing as a profit center. Let's start to dive into challenges and opportunities by looking at the consumers' minds. And the customer complexity is really accelerating. We have one stat brought for you. More than 50% of users use 5 or more online sources before they buy. This is, by the way, an all-time high. And users want personalized experiences. So as marketers, you have to find your users and approach them with a personalized ads. And at the same time, users want more transparency and control over their data and their privacy. So they also demand privacy. And Google has done, together with Ipsos, a study about which privacy users want. And we found out nearly 50% of users would switch a brand for a better privacy experience. So that's really a huge opportunity. And you can realize that opportunity by building new relationships with your users, with your customers. And these relationships, I believe, need to be earned and not bought. And you can earn a relationship by providing a great user experience on your website and on your app, by telling the users directly which data is tracked and for what it is used, and to make clear that it is for the good of the user. So based on this relationship, you can track first-party data. And first-party data becomes of immense importance when third-party cookies are going away this year. So now we have looked into the minds of consumers. Let's look into the minds of the marketer. I believe that a lot of marketers are challenged. They are under pressure because CEOs and CFOs are under pressure. They try to deliver profitable growth and they look at every cost center. And not every CEO sees marketing as a growth driver, actually. So only half of CEOs see marketing as a top growth driver. And that's a challenge. So putting all the challenges in front of you, we think together with AI and first-party data, combining it, you can solve these challenges and use marketing as a profit center. That's That's about what we are talking today. AI is, of course, in everybody's minds. Generative AI has been in the headlines in the last year. At Google, we are trying to find solutions for problems with AI. And one of the problems we are trying to solve is marketing. And we have launched in the last year several AI-powered ad solutions, which you have heard of, I'm pretty sure. It is, for example, Performance Max, it's demand gen, it is automatic bidding, it is value-based bidding. All these tools are based on AI. However, AI is not the marketer. It is empowering the marketing for sure, but actually marketing is about connecting and understanding people. So the marketer is in the driver's seat and needs to guide and give input for the AI to optimally guide the AI. And how can a marketer do this? How can a marketer guide the AI-powered ad solutions? It's all about setting targets and goals, and it's about training data. And you train AI-powered ad solutions with first-party data like conversions, audiences, and creatives. So you can think of AI as a new employee. It needs to be hired, it needs to have new targets, and it needs to have training. And then it can help you with marketing. The AI can then, when it is trained, deliver returns and insights. It casts a wide net, and it remixes creatives to convert customers. First of all, I would like to talk about the left-hand side, so about the marketer, what the marketer can do to empower this new flywheel, which you can see here. I think first time in the life of a marketer, it's possible to directly guide marketing with your business objective. What does that actually mean? I have an example for you. So when you before have defined a smaller target group, like here the 18 to 25-year-old woman, and you approach them with customized creatives, like in this example with pickleball shoes, you can now tell your AI for marketing to sell your products profitably to whoever's interested in. And the rest will be done by the AI. If, and only if, you use comprehensive and intelligent first-party data and let the AI be trained on it. Because AI is only as good as the data you put into it. And that's really crucial at this point. So first and foremost, conversion data are used to be training AI-powered ad solutions. So that's why I would like to focus on conversion data and not on audience data first. And we have put together for you key steps to use your first-party data for conversions. First of all, I think it's very important to establish a robust site-wide tagging. Tag your website, track conversions. And by the way, this is as well the basis for the incoming Privacy Sandbox APIs once they are integrated in Google Ads. So track your conversions with a tag. And you can improve the accuracy of your conversions by using a cookie-less conversion tracking additionally, which is called enhanced conversions. With this, you can track conversions which are not trackable with cookies by using hashed first-party data like hashed email addresses. And the third topic we are recommending is to use Google Analytics 4. And with Google Analytics 4, you can make your conversion tracking more intelligent. And also the fourth topic is here to make your conversion tracking more intelligent. And this is also a topic about which Delivery Hero will talk later, is assigning a value to your conversions and thinking about a very intelligent value, because you need to train your AI based on that value. And the last recommendation is to use consent mode to make your measurement comprehensive. Into 3 tools I would like to dive a little bit deeper now. And the first one is consent mode, which is dear to my heart. Consent mode is a small code snippet which you can implement on your website or within your app. And it passes the consent you are requesting from your users to Google tags, and they behave then accordingly. So when there's consent, the tag will set a cookie in the browser of the user. When there's no consent, no cookie will be set. And additionally, you give Google the signal that you want Google to model the conversions which you were not able to track. Because when, let's say, 20% of users don't give consent to your consent banner, then 20% of conversions can't be measured. And consent mode is enabling you to model these conversions. And on average, it can model 65% of the lost conversions and can recover these conversions with that. So that can have a real impact on your comprehensiveness of your conversions. As I said, Delivery Hero will talk a little bit more about Google Analytics 4 and how they have used it. Let me just bring to you 3 USPs of Google Analytics 4 without going through that screenshot and the text. So Google Analytics 4 enables you to analyze the user journey across web and app. It can give you the opportunity again to use AI-powered ad solutions like predictive audiences. You can predict a purchase, for example, and share an audience based on this prediction with Google Ads or SA360 or DV360. And the third USP of Google Analytics 4 is that you can integrate your first-party data from other sources into Google Analytics 4 and share it then to steer your advertising campaign with Google Ads, with SA360 or DV360. Great, so that was the second example of how to make your conversion tracking more comprehensive and intelligent. And the third example is assigning a value to your conversion tracking. That sounds now very easy, but it can be very complicated, because you have to think as marketer about what is a value of a user for me as a business. Is it the revenue of the purchase the person has made? Is it the profit I'm making? Is it the lifetime value? And we will hear more about that from Gökhan, from Delivery Hero, how they have defined the conversion value to make the bidding informed and trained to find more high-value customers. In general, we are speaking of getting 14% more conversion value at similar return by using conversion values with conversion tracking and using value-based bidding. Great. So setting up a first-party data strategy can be really time-consuming. It can take months to bring all needed people together, UX team, DPO, marketing, of course. It is something we all need to do in 2024, I'm pretty sure. And Google tries to support you with that. And we are launching currently in Google Ads the Google Ad Data Manager, which is a platform within Google Ads where you can simplify the way you use your data. So you can integrate your first-party data and use it for marketing directly. Great. So we heard now more about what the marketer can do to guide this flywheel and the AI. And now we are coming to the second part of the flywheel. It's now all about AI-powered ad solutions. And for that, I'm handing over to Thomas.
Thank you, Reemda. So, now that we've established the first half of the flywheel, the role of the marketer, let us have a closer look at the second half, which is the AI part. And so much can be said, it's not simply the lean back, don't worry part. We need to still understand the role that AI can play in order for ourselves to then smartly steer campaigns, set targets, iterate and learn. So let us recap briefly what is on that slide. It has been mentioned by Reemda briefly before. The first one, delivering returns and insights. That is relatively intuitive and straightforward. We give a campaign a set goal, and then it will optimize to that. And by doing so, not only come back with reporting, but also with actionable reporting, if you will, insights, for instance, saying, you could get 10% more conversions at the same CPA if you increase your budget. The third part here, remixing creatives to convert customers. Also pretty cool, but intuitive, right? It's not only about providing ready-made ads, but more providing ad assets, text, image, video, that then can be combined to meet the user in the right moment, in the right format. What needs a bit more explaining on the slide is probably the part 2, casts a wide net. That can mean anything at first sight. If you think back to what Reemda has been saying before about basically how to think about the target group, I think that's where we start. It's not excluding someone prematurely. So not excluding users prematurely because they don't have the right age or the right gender, but basically starting wide and by learning if these users really are better or worse users, getting more scale at the same performance. And the same thing is true for inventory. Historically, we've thought about like, oh, wait, what's the highest converting inventory? And let's throw all our budget there. While obviously there's still validity in kind of thinking about inventories, again, if we exclude inventory from the start, we lose scale. And we believe, and the approach that we've taken, and we'll see also that we have strong indication for it actually working, that by not prematurely excluding inventories, but by having one campaign that can access different types of inventory and then create synergies, we get more scale at the same performance. How does that work in practice? Performance Max has been mentioned, most of you know, and you have a team that, together with you, assigns and decides on what's valuable for your company. So it can be purchases, but it can also be defining that a new customer is worth more than an existing customer. You would then provide data signal inputs. What does a good customer look like? You would provide assets, so creative text and image snippets. And then the campaign would go and access all different types of inventories that you can see here nicely rotating on the screen. So not only Google Search, not only YouTube, but also, for instance, the Discover feed, the display network, and thereby really casting the wide net I've just spoken about. Does that actually work? We have strong indication to believe so. When we launched PMax, we made comparisons again, like how does that compare to classic standalone campaigns? And at launch, we already found 13% uplift of a PMax campaign versus standard campaigns. And today, This uplift has even grown. We're at 18% uplift by now. So we continue investing there and do believe that as we go further, there'll be more synergies and that advantage of thinking about AI-powered campaigns that access inventory and have a kind of joint view of driving the conversions will gain competitive edge in time. Reemda's mentioned it. PMax is not the only AI-driven campaign type we have at Google. It's also not the first one. Does anyone remember what the first campaign type was that was actually even termed universal when we launched it because the concept of accessing multiple inventories was new? I heard apps, and that is correct. App campaigns was launched already a couple of years ago and was actually born by the idea of saying the business objective of apps is one of many in Google, and it never gets enough focus. So let's focus our efforts across inventories and have one strong campaign type that helps drive that business objective. And this synergetic approach has also enabled apps to develop as a product, app campaigns, over time. We started off with just offering CPI bidding. Nice, but probably not where you want to end with. So we had something called CPI Advanced, where people could say, well, I want users at a CPI, but that also make a purchase. From there, we went to CPA bidding. From there, we went to ROAS bidding. And today, you basically can optimize your campaign to anything from pre-registration for gaming to retargeting lapsed users and a repeat business model. And that has been quite a journey. And where on that journey and what exactly you optimize to depends on a lot of things. It depends on, let's say, also the maturity, not only of your business, but also of the product category in, the users. And thinking about maturity helps you also plug on where you are and where you want to go. So this is going to be quite a few things on one slide. So let's try to build it up. Say you're on that journey of combining first-party data and AI, also like in an AI-powered campaign setup. The first thing you need, Reemda said it, a measurement foundation. Not going to repeat everything that was said, but this is the basis. When you have that basis, again, restating what Reemda said, the biggest lever you have is conversions. Why conversions and not audiences in that case? And particularly, by the way, we're talking about new customer acquisition, right? So we're not talking about any type of hard targeting when it comes to audiences anyway. So conversions allows you to set a clear target for an AI-first campaign. So you have a lot of steering power with conversions that you don't have on the audience layer. So you would start with a volume, already knowing what a specific event is worth to you, and steering on a CPA can get you a long way. But you may want to go further. Organic value would mean, for instance, transactional revenue. I think retailers have that data readily available. For other business models, it's sometimes more of an effort to get there, but that would be logically step 2. But once you're there, you may find, okay, but some products are more attractive for me to sell than others. So you may want to look at things like profit margin and then start optimizing to that. Particularly handy if you want to work towards the vision of marketing as a profit center, by the way. One ultimate goal and vision very often is going beyond the transactional value. Having an idea, particularly in new customer acquisition, how much revenue a user will give me over time. Because that's very often also what I need as a marketer in order to get the buy-in from someone else to actually spend on new customers. Because it can be very difficult to get in all of the spend on the first purchase. So this is basically the curve on the conversion layer. It has a kind of brother setup, if you will, brother-sister setup on the audience activation layer, where you can also go through all of these different maturity curves and even apply that as well to new customer acquisition as soft targeting with audience signals, for instance, in many of our products. But that's the journey. Already a lot of steps there. And there are more steps coming. If you put that into practice, 4 things. The first one sounds pretty obvious, but aligning business goals with what you have available and planned as first-party data is something you should spend time on. Why am I saying that? I can say from personal experience that, for instance, pushing to an LTV model is probably not the right priority if the product category or maturity stage is still all on get every user. If it's volume, then an LTV model is not the right moment. If it's short-term revenue, then an LTV model is probably not the right moment. So try to really align what is the business goal and then work backwards from there. What's the first-party data you have available? What are the signals you have available? Let's say if long-term revenue is the goal, beyond the kind of pure transactional value, what do you know about the customer that can inform if he's going to be valuable over time? Once you've done that, you need to review your infrastructure. Having a really, really good prediction model of your lifetime value will be completely pointless if it takes a month to compute, because no AI-driven campaign can work with that. So making sure that there is a link between what are you building and how can it be picked up by external systems like Google's AI-powered campaigns is important. Based on that, create a roadmap and loop in all of the different teams that Reemda has mentioned. Typically, that would be AI, marketing tech, marketing channel teams, but also business owners. And have a clear testing agenda. Also a clear understanding, what is it that will define success? Are actually all stakeholders ready to act on the data? And also, is everyone patient enough to live with occasional setbacks along the way? So first of all, why I'm saying that with the setbacks, I've been through one of these projects myself with a partner, and we're going to hear about that in a second. And there have been setbacks, but we did get there. And it would not have been possible without that patience and without that kind of buy-in to also work through these. But I know this has been a lot of theory, and you might ask yourself, how do you put that into practice? And is there a concrete example? The good answer is yes, there is. Together with Delivery Hero, we build a case that we will hopefully publish soon on the thing with Google Docs, so there's going to be stuff to read about it too. And it's an app-first case, which is why we also brought the background on apps. But let me just tell you very, very briefly first why we also think food delivery and instant delivery is a good example for actually going through that journey. How many of you are familiar with Delivery Hero and who they are? I see many hands up. So Delivery Hero is active today in over 70 countries, delivering ready-made food, but also groceries, and also other items instantly. And the sheer scale of the business is just astonishing. It's several million orders every day that are being processed. In an industry like that, bringing in new customers, because it's a cohort business, you add new customers and you keep these customers, and that's how you can grow in, I think, 13 years from 0 to several million orders. So you need a very, very good understanding of how you bring in customers with the right quality, but also with the right scale. And one person we've done that together with is Gökhan, who leads the SEM team at Delivery Hero. It's a global team that is a center of excellence and driving innovation across the different brands that Delivery Hero is across the globe. And Gökhan will walk you through, together with me, about how they actually took on that challenge. So, Gökhan, first of all, thank you for joining us today. We're basically going to answer, but not linearly, the question on business goals. I think we've already captured it slightly, how you use first-party data and how you do this with an AI-powered ad solution. But first of all, you told me that you can treat your marketing like a tomato. Can you explain?
It's not that simple, but let me explain. First, I love tomato, but also, as you said, like at Delivery Hero, we deliver tomatoes, like tons of tomatoes every day from either like on ready-made food from restaurants or groceries from partners. But basically, superficially, it's just the answer. But there's a story behind. So we treated our marketing budget as a tomato. So first, so we thought that there will be some challenges when it comes to the incrementality. So we need to cut it in half. So John Wanamaker's once said that half the money I spend on advertising is wasted, but the trouble is I don't know which half. So basically, in order to figure out which half is actually not overlapping with the business needs, we needed to cut the tomatoes in half. So as you know, as you can see in these slides as well, so there are seeds in tomatoes. So please consider those seeds as your prospect customers. Then we came up with the question that what if we don't treat all seeds at the same value? So what's going to change? So that was the starting point, basically. The root cause started with that question because they look same, all the seeds look same, but they are not the same impact, right? So it doesn't matter how deeply you know your first-party data, you gather insights, etc., unless you actually put this into action with AI, because AI was the thing what made the approach actionable for us. Because you can do a lot of segmentations. You can segment in every detail you want, but eventually you will need to end up with the activation part, which was the marketing channel for us.
Just for me to recap. So basically, you're saying, when we go back to the tomato, think about the customers as seeds. If a customer will be good over time, we don't know yet. It's a seed. But we know they will be different. We know they will not all be the same.
Exactly.
And the working hypothesis was, what is if we start valuing and treating these seeds differently? And what if we put that also in the end into an A/B test? And I think what you were saying is you look to actually predict how good a seed was.
Yeah.
Took signals that you had about the user.
Yeah.
And then you thought, you asked yourself a couple of questions.
Exactly. So those are this is one of the questions that we asked ourselves at the beginning. So because we used to optimize our campaigns towards the actual data. When a transaction happens, we send this conversion data to Google Ads, then we optimize towards this. But we asked this, does the value of first order represent the future value? Because since it's a local delivery is a kind of a cohort business, ideally a user is acquired, then they ideally generate more value over time. So that's why we found a way to actually bid on future predicted value of a user rather than focusing more on the in-the-moment transaction data. So we didn't find any correlation between the value of the first transaction versus future lifetime value. So that's basically one of the questions. And also second question, should we cut interaction with the returning users? Of course not, because it's a local delivery business and there are many repetitive orders coming from users. There are millions of users who are acquired, but they cut interaction with you. They don't buy anything from you because there are many options in the market. So that's why we also need to consider those inputs when you are actually bidding on all the inputs, let's say. But we can. We don't need to cover all the questions, but we can jump into the next table. So basically, as you are all aware of, so TCP and TROAS, those are actually only helping you to maybe optimize towards short-term revenue and everything. So number of conversions with TCPA, as long as you have growth focus. TROAS is helping you optimize towards short-term revenue because you are only optimizing towards the basket value happening in the transaction. But based on the learnings and also the answers that we gathered at the beginning, we ended up with a metric called PROAS, which is predictive ROAS. So predictive ROAS is actually helped us to consider the real value of the sales. Since the profit is actually changing over time, we also considered this while actually optimizing our campaigns. So that's basically what we said.
Brilliant. So just to recap, so we decide seeds will be different in the future. We need a metric that actually matches that. That metric, provided we're able to predict the value accordingly, will be predicted return on ad spend. And then that sounds all pretty cool, but like, how do you put that into practice?
It's actually less complex than how it looks. But basically, there are three main steps that we considered. So first one is actually building the model, of course. So every time a user is actually registered to our platform, we gather some information, right? So we see the age, we see the gender, we see the credit card type after the transaction. We see some characteristics, right? So we build up a model and we stored in BigQuery and understood which indicators are actually representing the high value signals. Then in the second step, BigQuery is actually where we stored, and also we send it to Google Analytics 4 and with a user ID connected to it. So on Google Analytics 4, we connected that user IDs to an event. Then that event is being sent to Google Ads to be activated in the marketing campaign. In the first phase, we assigned a value. We defined a value per user after they are being acquired. Then that value is being passed to the Google Analytics 4. And based on that value, we created a PROAS strategy. This is how we activated the campaign. So other than that, any indication how profitable your user is actually kind of like helping you to optimize your investment today. That's basically how we started it and how we ended up with the targeting on the Google side.
And what campaign type did you use?
App campaigns, because in the previous slide, as I was like showing, so multi-touch points matter, and also user journey is not like happening in one click. So that's why we had to connect the dots with the help of AI. So yeah, that's actually how it went. Yeah.
Brilliant. Also, again, to recap, build a model that predicts user value, plug it into GA4 as we heard before, steer the campaign from there, and use a campaign that is AI first in order to not lose scale on the way.
Exactly. Here, just one thing. So based on the inputs on the left-hand side, this is the starting point. Based on those inputs, of course, we segmented users like high, low, medium segments. So those are also segments that are actually sent to Google Analytics 4, and also we started like bidding on Google based on these like segmentations. In the next slide, maybe what I can show, I'm not going to go through all the story behind, but the core of this process is actually user ID. So it's actually sitting in the center and everything is actually connected to the user ID. So as I said, anytime a user is actually registering to our app, we assign a user ID. Then we see the characteristics. Based on the characteristics happened, historically in the database, we sent this inputs via measurement protocol to Google Analytics 4. Then we send it to Google Ads. Measurement protocol is actually quite crucial here because with the smart bidding, in order to get the success, data recency must be really, really low, right? So basically almost real time data transfer from our BigQuery to Google Analytics 4, then Google Ads. It happened like maybe really close to real time. So that's why I'm actually talking today here. So
perfect. Well, that sounds like quite a bit of effort you went through. And without going into details, there were some kind of hiccups along the way, but we managed to. Was it worth it? Or in other words, coming back to the tomato, what did you find?
Yeah, let's take a look. So I wish I could say that we did not do anything. I took care of the rest, but basically, in reality, of course, we gave the input, as Reemda said. So we gave the input. We put a lot of effort on which indicators of a user, like based on like characteristic and everything, are the signals for high value in the lifetime. Then we gave this input to Google, and AI took care of the rest. So, just one thing, but of course, not all the models are perfect, but for us, it was the useful case. It was the useful model because it was overlapping with the business need. We found the balance between growth versus profitability because in most of the cases, when you run a profitability-focused campaign, you tell the Google algo that I can sacrifice some amount of acquisitions. But in this case, we also grew in acquisitions, in conversions at the same time, like while we were scaling in the efficiency part. So 100% higher return on investment predicted in the treatment group, where we actually did not treat it all seats the same. So on the right hand side, you can consider this a test campaign, and on the left hand side, it's control campaign. In the control campaign, all seats values are treated the same, but on the right hand side, all the seats that are not treated like same. We actually, based on the indicators, we treated them differently with the PROs. So 104% uplift predicted, but was it the case in reality? So this is the predictive metric, but this is the actual metric. So was it the case in reality? We checked the first 90 days of data, and we saw that 52% higher return on investment already happened in the treatment group, where we were actually not treating all the seats same. Also, I wanted to put the AOV, average order value. So 15% higher average order value happened in treatment group compared to control group. It's also an indicator how things will evolve over time. So then actually we will get closer to the 104% in lifetime. Just explain what the lifetime is, but maybe in 1 year. But in the first 90 days, we are already at 52%. So
pretty
that's
cool.
Basically how it happened.
And so now that we've established, it was a lot of work, but you got it to work, and there was a clear uplift on the predictive metric, which is nice, but also with a clear indication that this materializes over time. How did you get there? What did you learn on the way?
So basically, it's not one team's success for sure. Where we had a strong collaboration with also a regional team at Pedidosia in Argentina. So they were the ones who came up with the model, and they worked on all those inputs, which indicators are actually giving the high value signals. And as central marketing based in Berlin, so they worked on how to push the data to Google. So measurement protocol geniuses. So they worked on data ingestion, and also activation part was on us. So we came up with the A/B testing, cutting the tomato in half, etc. So, but just one last thing, we kept it simple. I mean, because if we overcomplicate the model and everything, you're going to spend maybe 1 more year. Then 1 year later, there will be some new innovations. Then you'll actually lagging behind the competitors. So that's why, as long as you reach significancy or the accuracy of the model, go live. I will take care of the rest. I know I said it too much, but 100% blew my mind anyway.
Brilliant. Then just one more thing to wrap it up this is, I wouldn't say the end of the journey, but this is the end of a longer journey. Yeah. For people who are maybe at a different type of the journey, we talked about maturity of markets. Maybe it's more about volume. How do you look at it?
It's not like either PROS or not. I mean, of course, since we are operating more than 70 countries, so we have a different level of saturations in the markets. Of course, when we were new in a country, our focus was actually growing on installs, having the market leadership as the time goes by. So, we started with maybe TCPI campaigns in Google, then maybe post-install focus campaigns with TCPA. Then we came up with, GMV is also important because you need to find the balance, right? Growth versus profitability. Not acquiring a customer is not the ultimate goal. Acquiring the right customer is becoming a goal when you reach a certain point of saturation. Then LTV focus is exactly what I explained. So we tested it in a market where we had market leadership, as I said. So it's actually giving you the playground to actually,
brilliant.
To go beyond basically.
So basically, there are opportunities all along the way, depending on the kind of maturity of the marketing tech and on the kind of product or market category.
Exactly.
Thank you, Gökhan, for this case and for the joint journey.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And then in our last part, cases are always great, but cases are also specific, right? Hopefully there was something in there that you could take for yourselves. But maybe you're also asking yourself, is this just a kind of isolated case, or how does this apply across the board? We also want to take a broader perspective, and for that we asked a partner. Mathias Elsässer from PwC has been, correct me if I'm wrong, 27 years in consulting on marketing and marketing efficiency. The journey he takes his clients on is mostly on from madman to mathman, and he's even written a book about it, and most recently a white paper, which we'll get to. First, welcome with me, Mathias, on stage. And Mathias, I have 3 questions for you, which are nicely already written on this slide, but let me still go with the first one with a bit more context. We heard from Reemda earlier, marketing as a profit center, as a vision. You've had, I think, countless probably interactions with companies on their kind of way to become more savvy in marketing. What are the takes and obstacles that you found when working with these companies on that road?
Yeah, nice opening question. The question is whom you ask, because I have 2 souls in my body. The one is MBA from St. Gallen, the other one is physicist from KIT in Karlsruhe. So if you ask the first one, profit center means we need some revenue streams. So the question is, how do we get revenue streams? In marketing, I think the only way we can do this is building some kind of retail media business or something like this. So I guess you refer to something different, and that's when you ask the physicist, this is how can we optimize the complete system of a business as a marketing department. And I think there we see that more and more the marketing department is also heading towards a supportive function end to end. So we no longer try to just deliver some kind of reach in the upper funnel and get people into the system. We try to really treat our customers through the full-blown funnel. So that means if you really want to act as a profit center in marketing, that's what we see with our clients, then the main challenge is to really, on the one hand side, get new customers in. And there I'm still with Peter Drucker. Yeah, he said the purpose of an enterprise is to build customers. So the only thing we have is marketing innovation. All the rest is cost. So we're in the profit center, luckily here, all we marketeers. Yeah, and that's what we are doing. So we are building customers, like we have seen. Yeah, we get them into the funnel, and then it goes further. And we need this vertical integration that we also help them to really work on the conversion, optimize the conversions, and then lately down in the funnel to build these loyalty loops and get people back into the system. I think that's if you really think about a profit center, this is the one dimension, and then we have this vertical dimension. We have also a horizontal dimension on the process and people side. That marketing is still a local game, and if you see here a case where we're not allowed to help because we are your audit partner, but at the end we have other clients, and there we always act in whatever 70, 90, 100 countries and want to act there. We can't activate on a global basis. So the only thing we can do, we can build these models. Yeah, we can build the governance, we can build the systems, because they are all quite expensive. Some from a cost perspective, we have to scale them across the country. So we are doing this on a global base. But in the end, the activation is still local. And so you have these 2 dimensions: the full-blown funnel from top down, and you have from left to right the horizontal dimension. Which means here we have to act on a global basis from a governance perspective for taxonomy, tech, and all the other things, and we have to act locally to really activate the campaigns. And all of this is then the profit center we are talking about.
And I see, by the way, Gökhan nodding, because working in a company that has both global and regional and local teams, that's exactly something you can relate to. What is the role of data and technology in that context?
Yeah, I think for the people who have read the book, I'm still a fan of this from madman to mathman. I still like this. And if you look, what is this journey all about? This is a threefold step to get there. So the first one is the madman style, yeah, which is 100% gut driven. Yeah, so it's a lot of whiskey, it's a lot of cigarettes, yeah, treating women's bad, and then being quite super creative at one moment, yeah, and then based on your gut feeling, attracting a lot of people in the upper funnel. So I think that's the madman style. And to be honest, we are still acting a lot in this area. Yeah, and then there are 2 steps. So we have seen with the advent of Google and Meta and all the others, beginning of this century, this data-driven way of doing marketing, which is mostly done on flat files. So we are still collecting a lot of files, data, store them somewhere in relational databases, and try to use them to find out how our system behaves and to find the sweet spots of the highest conversion. And then if you really want to go towards math and marketing, that's a third dimension that we bring in the customer itself, the single event, in form of first-party data infrastructure, CDPs and all these things. And then that we try to combine this in two models. That we say, okay, on the one hand side, we have a model which helps us to measure our full-blown engine. It's like the speed meter in your car. So if you want to run a racetrack, it's a speed meter, fuel consumption, and all of these. And this is what we see also, what we should use, because it's quite cheap in comparison to the bottom-up first-party data infrastructure of CDPs and hyperscalers, and you have a lot of consumptions there, you have a lot of licenses there, you have to pay a lot of money, and if we're coming back to the profit center, we have to balance this cautiously. So what we are doing, we're using this less expensive part of measuring aggregated data to see how our campaigns behave with mixed modeling, with return on marketing invest campaign calculation. How does our system overarching performance is how to work on this? And then suddenly we may find out there are a few corners where we have trouble to get around. And then we switch the model, and there we can use these quite expensive first-party data infrastructures to really get the data out and see on a single log file basis how do people behave there, and then do all these clusters and whatever and MTA models to really find out what happens there. And I think this is how data works and how technology works, and I think that's also an efficient way of using technology.
Thank you, particularly just restating the point that you said about these kind of different layers and different ways of looking at it. One bottom up, but also the other one on aggregate. And I think also what we heard, right? What you steer to and what you optimize to is not necessarily always what you use for actually checking if the campaigns are working as intended. Same thing, what we heard in the example before, while it was steering to predicted ROAS, 90-day ROAS was being used in order to monitor if it was working as intended. The last question, just maybe in 2 or 3 sentences, so just to make sure that we finish on time. What do you think companies need to be successful to actually pair that data and technology with AI-powered solutions like Google Ads?
Yeah, I think, first of all, everybody has to understand completely the system, because if we try to use AI on every part of the game, that's by far too expensive. That's what we've done now in the beginning of this AI hype. Everybody has used everywhere these AI models, independent whether this is large language model or other models like segmentation and things like that. But now we found out, they are quite expensive from a consumption, from a license perspective, but also from an intellectual property where we have to pay quite expensive people for. So the first, we have to understand our ecosystem and then plug in AI at the right positions and get this to really optimize our system. That's the one. And the second one is then, as long as we only stay in our ecosystem, AI is nice, but at the end we have to somewhere activate. So I guess the next big competitive advantage will be, how do I integrate my first-party asset into the broader advertising system of a Google, of Trade Desk, or whomever, where I want to activate at the end. And I think that's something where we will see that will be the next challenge. And there we also think that to do a bit of advertising also towards Google, you will rely on the big players, because now you're in a way of giving away your first-party data to somebody else via clean rooms or whatever. So there, I guess we will see that the big players who are heavily controlled will have also a competitive advantage in comparison to smaller ones who might be don't have the reach or are not in a regulated space, and people mistrust these people, these systems to give their first party in, or the clean rooms are not good enough, and all these things. So I guess this will be something we will see, and this is where we work together also with our clients.
Thank you so much, Matthias. And before we invite Reemda up to stage to close us off, I think in terms of time, we won't take live questions now, but we will stay around downstairs here. I think there's going to be a break, so anyone whose questions is welcome to join us afterwards. But super briefly, you've written a white paper, and the topic is efficient marketing. Will we find the topics of first-party data and AI back in there?
Yes, for sure. That's exactly what I said. So we believe in this marketing efficiency framework exactly in managing both models. So it's on the one hand side a quite cost-effective way of measuring what happens in your ecosystem, combining this with a bottom-up model of first-party data on a low-level base and mixing this all together. So the paper is about, on the one hand side, mix modeling, return on marketing invest, and then converting this towards what we call return on experience, which is then just switching away from the campaign view towards a community and audience view, and also measuring how your audience behave, but just from a pure return perspective, and then finally mix this up with a scoring model to have then finally also an MTA scoring as a fundamental base for this, and bring this all together to finally then also add something what we call value supply chain in marketing, to have some kind of audit on how does your information you generate in this ecosystem finally ends up somewhere at the publisher, and what happens in between, and is there money burned or is this money spent wisely? And I think that's what all in marketing efficiency in just a few words.
Perfect. I saw a few hands up, and take a note. Thank you for that. And with that, handing over to Reemda for closing us off.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Gökhan. Thank you, Matthias. That was, I think, incredible. So wrapping it up now very briefly with a recommendation to you as marketer. So use the opportunity of the inflection point in 2024, like I will do with my big party for the wedding. Do like Delivery Hero tomato marketing. And use AI and first-party data for efficient marketing. Thank you very much.